Hello everybody, fellow classmates, Dr. Castagno. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's family is safe and healthy. Hope everybody is enjoying this time, do some self-reflection, maybe hang out a little bit. I know it's a hard transition, but just wanted to say I hope everybody's well. Okay, so as you're looking at this, I know this is a YouTube video, so if you can't change slides while using this, just open the YouTube video in a different tab and just listen to it as I do my presentation. Wasn't sure how to add the audio, so it's the best I could do. Okay, so my presentation today is on specific learning disabilities. And first off, I'm going to start by saying this is the broadest category of disability within the 13 categories, and makes up for about 45% of all special education learners. So as you see on the first slide, I put an umbrella there. I found this image on Google Images and I thought that it was useful because it is an umbrella term for many disabilities that students have. And then on the right, the other photo that I have, which lists some of them in kind of a table form. So as we go on to the second slide, the definition, IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, defines this as a specific learning disability as a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, that may manifest itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or to do mathematical calculations. To make some things clear, it does specify that specific learning disability does not include learning problems that are primarily the result of visual, hearing, or motor disabilities, of intellectual disability, of emotional disturbance, or of environmental, cultural, or economic disadvantage. The next paragraph is me explaining what I'm about to tell you. So the reason for the distinction and for them to go more in detail is that specific learning disability is somewhat broad, and they don't want people classifying somebody as having a specific learning disability if it's in regards to something else. So the example that I gave was that if a student has issues following direction or following instructions, but they have a hearing disability or they can't hear you, it's not that they have a specific learning disability, it's that they have some form of deafness or hearing impairment. So they need to treat that disability, they don't need to treat it as a specific learning disability. So they do that in order to classify what the true disability of the student is in order to serve the needs of that student. So moving on to the third slide, definition and specification and associated disabilities. So like I said earlier, specific learning disability is an umbrella term for the different disabilities that it embodies. So for instance, there is dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, and those are all processing disorders that have to do with reading, writing, and math. Issues in listening, speaking, reasoning, trouble following directions, following patterns in counting, alphabet, etc., and transferring thoughts to written words. So as I'm going to explain throughout, and it'll be better explained in the video that I show you at the end, specific learning disability is basically a processing disorder. So they have issues processing things of certain subjects, doing things in rote, making connections, things of that sort, staying on task. So as we move on to the fourth slide, the incidence by age and gender. According to the statistics represented by the National Center for Education statistics, for the school year of 2017-2018, 34% of all students ages 3 to 21 who receive special education are classified as having a special learning disability. It's also cited on many sources that I saw that it is the most common disability represented in special education. I saw that on IDEA and multiple other sources that I was reading about, because it just embodies so much. Other disabilities are very centralized on what they represent, very detailed. This is more broad, embodies a lot more, so therefore a lot more individuals are represented. If we go down one more to the fifth slide, the causes of SLD or a specific learning disability, they can be genetic, neurological, be caused by trauma, birth defects, environmental influences, and biochemical influences. So as you read the descriptions, you can tell that a specific learning disability doesn't necessarily have to be determined at a young age. People can develop this disability, whether it is in a school format or whether it is when they're older. So it can be developed through genetics, which would be from birth. It says that there's a higher prevalence of people with SLD passing on the traits to their offspring. Neurological, like I said, information processing issue. That's what most of the people who have a specific learning disability fall under. Can be a cause of trauma before, during, and after birth. There's an unfortunate reaction to trauma sometimes where individuals will stay at their current state of processing or will stay at their current state of development from when the trauma occurred. So to give you an example, if somebody was abused at the age of 12, then their developmental processes don't progress from there. Even when they're 20-something years old, they will still be developmentally and cognitively a 12-year-old. So that's just an example of that. Birth defects could be caused from lack of oxygen to the brain during birth, or air loss due to suffocation or drowning. Other factors, environmental factors, smoking in the home, lead paint. If your mother or other people in your household using illegal drugs, prescription drugs, if you yourself are using them, certain diseases, things of that sort. And then biochemicals, some chemicals that can contribute. So, like drugs and nicotine and different things like that. Moving on to the sixth slide, the implications in phys ed. So basically I just listed a couple of things that you can do as an educator to help students with a specific learning disability. Clearly describe while demonstrating, showing exactly what you want students to do, your expectation of them, how it should be carried out, reviewing rules, descriptions, or demonstration as much as needed. So if you see that the student doesn't understand or other students aren't understanding, don't hesitate to take some time out of your lesson to reiterate it. Possibly go step by step as a group. So for instance, if you want students to be able to do the perfect form of a push-up or a sit-up, going step by step with the students as you demonstrate, have them doing it as well, so they get a grip of exactly what they're supposed to be doing when they do their individual work or group work or whatever it is you're having them do. Having additional resources if necessary, so picture boards, small whiteboards, step-by-step directions at a station, rules and expectations posted on the wall, vocal aids, such as a speaker, etc. So as many articles and resources will tell you, it's also very individualized. So I might have said, or I might have stated some things that will be very helpful to some and won't be helpful at all to others. Like I said, it's a very broad disability, so some things that might help others won't to some, and vice versa. So also in there, if you move on to slide 7, I included an activity. Fitness stations is the best one that I can think of to modify it for somebody who has a specific learning disability. So fitness stations, you have 6 stations set up around the gym, focusing on whatever domain of fitness the educator prefers: muscular endurance, muscular strength, cardio, etc. Students rotate stations every 2 minutes. Leave 1 minute between stations to allow students to rotate and review the description of each station before the time begins. So as I stated at the end, obviously the educator is going to go around to each station and describe it before the activity starts, describe what the expectations of the students are, proper form, what they should be doing. But also outside of each station will be a description of what the students do and visual aids to help the students see, oh, these are the words, okay, this is what I have to do, and then I'm going to look at it, see the pictures of what I have to do, and if I need even more help, I can look at my peers, see what they're doing, or last resort, I can ask the teacher and ask to be explained or shown one more time. The educator will post pictures with descriptions of what the expectations are. I said that. And then I said, if possible, you could have a video or audio of the demonstration or description at each station. Now, not a lot of school districts are going to have 6 iPads for PE alone or 6 radios, but sometimes educators can make things happen. There's different apps where you can rotate the audio throughout a class, so maybe if it's only 1 student or 2 students, you can have them go in the same station and they could carry the iPad around, and then when they get to the next station, they could play it and see the video of what they're supposed to do. And then I just also mentioned the educator will go around and give thorough and concise feedback to students throughout the entirety. I always think that's good, going around making sure that they're sticking to proper form, meeting expectations, and hopefully meeting the objectives of what you're trying to accomplish within the lesson. So now if we go to slide 8, you're going to see there's a video. You can click on that and pause me for a moment. If you want to just watch that video, it's only 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so you can pause me now and go check that out. Okay, so after you've checked that video out, the reason why I added it in there is because it gave me some clarification on what we were really looking at. So earlier in this video, I had pointed out that this was a processing disorder early, but I didn't necessarily even read that on any of the resources that I looked at, that they classified it as a processing disorder. And that really helped to put in light what this disorder really embodies. So it's not that difficult to understand after you read that. I mean, it's just that students that have issues processing things at the time that they should. So it's usually caught early if it's developed at birth. So students can't count the alphabet in rote. They can't go A, B, C, D, E constantly. They get lost, they stop, they can't focus, things of that nature. They can't count numbers en rote. They struggle in specific subjects, things like that. And if you look at the assistive technologies that they wrote, books on tape, text-to-speech, calculators, colored overlays, some individuals who have a specific learning disability don't have issues with math, or they don't have issues with reading or writing. So, like I was saying before, certain assistive technologies and certain pathways of teaching and helping the students with specific learning disabilities will differ due to the needs of those students. So I thought that video was interesting and enlightening, at least to me. So if you go to the 9th slide, you can see my references. The Colorado Department of Education had a lot. So I relied on them for a lot of the slides that I did. IDEA naturally had a lot. And then some other resources that I utilized throughout the presentation. So I hope everybody has a great day. Enjoy my presentation. Feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks.